The union's plans to save the economy. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I've got my morning stein of coffee that I'm working through and I thought we'd have a look at this article from news.com.au which is discussing the union's plans to save us, everyone. The unions have the solution to the economy. Now, you'll have to forgive me if I'm skeptical. People who've worked in unions, and some of them their entire lives, never run a business, never actually encountered the challenges that they impose on businesses. Always in a nice little cartel bubble where they've got protection from the government. They can use, well, what other people would consider criminal acts to get their way. I've got very little time or respect for their arguments with regards to an economic recovery. I think Australia really needs more politicians with real-world experience. We need to have a quota, limit the number of lawyers, maximize the number of small business people so people get a taste, who have a taste of reality and just dealing with the BS that is constantly put on people. Get in there and maybe, hopefully, just try to take something off the back of the average Australian so then the economy can grow. Because I can guarantee you this is going to be a whole lot of interventionist rubbish and panhandling for things for their members. Now, I know there are people there that like to claim all these wonderful things for unions. But statistically, in reality, they reduce the conditions for those who are not members of their cartel. I remember when I was first forced to join a union, I quite resented it, that I was forced to join, that I was considered too stupid to even negotiate my own contract. So let's have a look at this. The ACTU unveils a jobs plan for economic recovery. I mean, they reduce jobs. They increase the cost of labour. That's part of their mandate. Often they'll do it under the guise of safety. I would argue they should have a capacity to represent the workers with regards to safety, but they shouldn't be allowed to make any political donations. They shouldn't be allowed to own any businesses. And they should not be allowed to have any discussions with regards to finance in any of these businesses. They want to have their cake and eat it too in some ways. So let's have a look. Big, bold investments are needed from the federal government to curb unemployment, the peak union body says. Sure. And notice how we've got the two ladies here. We've got the ACTU President Michelle O'Neill and Secretary Sally McManus. Now, it's interesting that, you've got women running these unions, which isn't surprising. The majority of people in unions now, the largest body in unions, particularly in the public sector unions, is middle-aged women, everyone. Middle-aged women. So I feel sorry for all the MGTOW guys that are proud unionists when they're simping for middle-aged women. Look up the statistics if you don't believe me, everyone. And in many ways, they've lost their way. They've lost their way in representing their core constituents. Look at Labour's policies. Look at all of the discriminatory policies that they have in place. But it's not about reality. It's about power and control. So let's have a look. The nation's peak unit body is warning traditional stimulus packages from governments will not be enough to stave off economic woes on the horizon. Well, it's not. This is why ScoMo wants to actually get the unions and business together to address our industrial relations situation at the moment. Australia is very expensive to manufacture. Everyone's talking about manufacturing. We need to bring back manufacturing. Government needs to invest in manufacturing. It's really simple. Really simple. Do you want to pay double for your items? Or triple? Do you want to... What costs you maybe $200, do you want to pay $700 for? There's a reason why all toilets, and I keep going back to toilets, why Caroma shut down their factory in Sydney and shipped it all overseas. We made a point of specifying as architects on big jobs, on the mining jobs, we would try and find Australian manufacturers for different things we'd specify on there so the builders would order them. Because then it would be easier for the builders to get replacement parts, you've got more chance that it actually complies with the Australian standards, and you don't have all the unknown risks of the imported product. There was big cases of steel coming in from overseas. It was all hollow and dodgy, all the dodgy wiring. But the problem is, it's cheaper. And that's all consumers care about. People will say, oh yeah, I'll support Australia, I'll do this or this or this. But when it comes down to the mighty dollar and you've got two products in front of you that look exactly the same, what do people pick? Comes down to price. Instead, big and bold investments need to be made by the federal government, the Australian Council of Trade Union President Michelle O'Neill said on Monday. We're calling on Scott Morrison and his government to think big by investing public money for public good in creating jobs that support people and communities now and into the future, she said. Public money. The government has no money. It's just tax. It's future tax. They're in debt. They're in debt, so they're going to have to tax us again. They don't care. They don't care. By the time it actually will affect future generations, they'll be dead. Assuming a quick V-shaped recovery or relying on traditional stimulus packages of the past will not be adequate to face the challenges that come. And they're right. They're right. That's why we need to look at other ways. Change the tax system. Allow Australia to become more competitive. Reduce the burden on businesses. The speech was meant for a National Press Club address last week that has been cancelled due to the pandemic. Ms. O'Neill outlined 5 key priority areas for a jobs-led economic reconstruction. So let's have a look. I'm going to have a shot of coffee because I'm going to need it for this. An early childhood education and care strategy that proposes permanently free childcare and universal access to 3 and 4-year-old preschool. So, how's that going to create jobs? You've got a highly subsidized industry here. You know why? They want to get more people working. Oh, we need free childcare. Yes. Oh, it's childhood education. It's questionable what benefit any of this education can have. I would much rather my 3 and 4-year-olds are at home playing, learning. I educate them, not a child care center. I don't care if it's free. So no, I'm not a fan of that. I don't want more state intervention in the raising of my children. It's my job as a parent. And frankly, I think I'm smarter than a lot of the people who only get a childhood education cert or whatever at TAFE. Okay? I know that's arrogant, but it's true. I've been to them. I've walked through them, and I shook my head. I couldn't believe it. So yes, free stuff. So more money. They need to deregulate that industry. That's what they need to do. So free TAFE places for 150,000 people and Commonwealth-funded wage subsidies for apprentices and trainees with a job guaranteed at the end. Okay. Jobs are a privilege. Okay? Every job someone has, or should someone have, most of them in the free market, is where someone, like me, has decided to employ someone, gives someone the opportunity, takes on that risk, that responsibility, that pain in the ass of hiring someone. Job guarantees may mean they're worthless. Government jobs, they spend other people's money like it doesn't matter because it's other people's money. 150,000 TAFE places. That's just going to hide unemployment. And government's going to subsidize apprentices and trainees. For what? They're already proposing that, so then they don't have a job when they get out. How's this job guarantee going to materialize? You're just going to get the ball in the military? Won't be the women. So yeah, more free stuff. Commonwealth-sponsored events and exhibitions and 12 months to take over payment of regular state payroll taxes for paid employees in passenger transport and overnight accommodation. So more money to prop up a dying industry. $30 billion annually for public capital projects and mandated Australian-made content. I don't mind that. I'd like the idea of actually... The problem is, guys, Australian-made doesn't mean good. Australian-made doesn't mean good. Okay? I know it's not going to be very prideful, but there's better stuff from other parts of the world, guys. To be quite honest. I mean, I've got all these computer screens that are working fine, all imported, manufactured. Does Australian-made mean good? If it is, why is Holden not around anymore? A sustainable manufacturing focus with zero interest loans, so subsidies, for new renewable energy developments with a direct link to manufacturing. So they want to try and encourage a sustainable manufacturing industry here in Australia. Now, it sounds good, but our economy is quite small. We're not going to get the economies of scale as other countries are going to get. Then you add all our shipping costs to it. So there's a challenge there. Should the government be subsidizing this industry, which may be a pipe dream? Which may be a pipe dream. What do you think? I'd rather the government stays out of it. The artificial zero interest loan. So that's going to give these businesses a competitive advantage to other businesses. So everyone is going to dive into the sustainability sector. Just look at what's happening in the solar sector in Victoria, where the government's subsidizing it and it's just destroyed the industry. So we know we're asking a lot of government and that the plans come at a cost. Well, no, you're not asking a lot of government. You're asking a lot of the citizens of this country. You're asking people to give everyone free childhood education. Well, no, you're forcing people to go to early childhood education, which is proven to be questionable in the benefit of it. You want to create job guarantees and TAFE, which all sounds good, but it's utter rubbish. I mean, this is coming from people who have just been in the unions. I mean, Manus, you look at her LinkedIn, she's been in the unions forever. What would she know about creating jobs? It's a cartel, guys. It's a cartel. It's not a real business. They need to deregulate it and allow competition. They need to stamp down on the illegal activities for some of the unions. If you've been in the construction industry, you would have heard about it, where the union's refusing to allow concrete delivery to certain builders. And you know what the builders did? We were actually, it's probably safe to say this now, we were approached to look at modular manufacturing for all of the Commonwealth Games accommodation because the builders were having issues with the unions. So they were tempted to send it all overseas. So don't tell me they're doing a net good for Australia. Because people will find ways around it. The wealthy will find ways around to get around these impediments. It's like you can't tax the rich, guys. They'll just leave. People don't understand this. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, you can't blame them because they don't know any different. They've only been in the unions. At least McManus. Never been in real business. Don't understand the implications of it. And then you'll get all the idiots in the comments. I see, well, if you can't run a business and, if you can't pay a living wage, you shouldn't be in business. And then, okay, people go, to hell with you. I'll go hire people that aren't as pretentious, that aren't as will get out of bed and work hard and probably can live a lot better life with the money I'll pay them overseas. That's what happens, guys. That's what happens. So, I mean, quality of life is taking a hit in Australia. Unemployment is getting higher. And people are going to have to make a decision. Do they want to work for it? It's going to be hard with JobKeeper and JobSeeker so high. We need to have a competitive advantage on a global scale. Now people say, oh, well, let's put tariffs on. Then the same people I see them in the comments will complain about the GST on imported goods. They don't understand that for the consumer, that is the exact same experience. It's the exact same thing. We pay for it. We cop it. In the end, all of this stuff, all of these hopes and dreams, the average citizen will pay for it. It'll reduce your quality of life, guys. They'll give with one hand and take with the other. The government will break your legs and then give you a crutch and say you're lucky you've got the government to take care of you. So, but we also know the cost of not acting. No, you don't. You do not know the cost of not acting. You've got no idea what the cost of no acting is. There's no incentive, no political will in Australia to actually allow the market the freedom it needs to kind of clear out all this intervention which has created these bubbles and these problems. There have to be a bit of resilience and independent drive. Our initiatives will support and create jobs for women and men, for cities and towns. How? No, you're just creating more government jobs. The Morrison government will this week provide an update on the future of its JobKeeper and JobSeeker programs, with Prime Minister Scott Morrison promising there will be additional support for those who need it beyond September. So there we have it, everyone. The union's solution for the economy. What do you think? What do you think? What would you do? What would you do to provide a solution for this? Do you think the free TAFE places are good? What about a job guarantee? How is that actually going to work? How is that going to work? It sounds good, But it's easy to give bullet points and, fantasy, a job for every Australian that wants it. What if they don't want it? As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below, everyone. What would you do to solve our coming economic problems? Should we just bend the knee to the ACTU and all the other unions? Why don't we just follow down the Venezuelan path? Remember when all the unions were so happy, publicly acknowledging the new regime that came in there? That doesn't seem to be mentioned in the media anymore, you think? Anyway, take care. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy our merch from HeiseSays. You can use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you next time.